Recovery Emo Kids. Amanda and Rob here at the Emo Kids Anonymous podcast. And on today's episode, we are joined by Gary Cioni, producer of so many bands that have been on this show to date, like Tiny Voices and Scarlet Street. He's even produced Leisure Hour, Hot Mulligan, and we are so excited to sit down with him today. Had a great conversation just with the history of how he came on the scene in music and then eventually became a producer. Just a lot of great advice, a lot of inside baseball in terms of what it's like to be a producer. And yeah, it was a very enlightening conversation.
Sick time. Let's also not forget Long Island hardcore legend as well, part of Crime in Stereo. Fucking if you're a fan of the early days of the third wave mall emo of the 2000s, TBS brand new, Gary was right there through all of it. And if you're a fan of modern DIY emo or any of these, Scarlet Street, EMWAY, Tiny Voices, like you said, Hot Mulligan, Moose Creek Park. Yep. Stars Hollow is coming on soon.
Casper's Fight Scene, yeah.
Casper Fight, yeah. I'm supposed to say that one, but sorry, Summer. There's so many bands and so many he kind of seems to cross into both of our worlds very well, where it's it touches on that nostalgia stuff from back in the day as well as how this works, today. A lot of technical stuff if you're a music nerd, and if you're not a music nerd at all and you're just a fan, there's a lot of cool insight, I think, as well onto how the production side of things works. Before that, and before we even do I guess we'll do the business thing. Subscribe, follow, all that. Leave a comment, Instagram, Twitter, it's all down there. Just, Yeah. Buy some blouses. Yeah, there's gonna be a great blouse out I'm gonna cook up as soon as we finish this. By next week, we're gonna do our first official Protégé giveaway, I think. I'm not sure on the technicalities of it, but it will be starting, fellas, ladies even. Ladies with fellas, ladies with brothers and the like. You head over to Protégé.com, you enter Emo Kids at checkout, you get your first bottle of Protégé for only $10.
And remember, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So if you do have
a great gift. That's a great gift for the fellas.
Have a guy who's looking for better skincare.
Fellas, you want to get your face looking fresh too, if you got a Valentine's Day date. Look, you're taking the woman to that restaurant where they got that preset menu. She's already thinking this guy didn't make very much effort. He didn't try very hard. At least get your face looking nice. It's the least you can do for her.
It is.
For yourself. For your fucking future generations of you.
There we go.
That being said, here's Gary Cioni.
Hey, Gary.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging.
Hello.
7175.
Hello.
8.
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Yo. Good. How are you guys?
Good. At first, I thought we were going to be interviewing that unicorn behind you, but
no. I mean, it doesn't say much.
That's too bad.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh, it's been a long day.
Yeah, how's it over there? I mean, I know I have some friends and stuff up in the Northeast who said 16, 18 inches of snow. I imagine you got something around the same in Jersey.
Yeah, I don't think it was 16, 18, but it was probably about 13 or 14.
Intense.
And I had to cancel my sessions the last few days. And 1 second.
Go ahead.
Did it change on your end too, Amanda?
It did. It changed to a yes.
Cool. Okay. I didn't know
a
we could do
reverse
this.
pyramid.
This is so yeah.
All right, now that's better.
There we go.
Yeah, we had probably about 14 or 15 inches, and I have a very long driveway.
Yeah.
And the parking area for the studio is also quite big. And the plow that I usually have come when it does snow couldn't even get up the slope at the end of my driveway, so I had to dig out a good chunk of the driveway by hand just so the plow could get up the slope.
Ooh.
It was a time.
That sounds exhausting.
Rob, you're in California. Where are you, Amanda?
Yeah. I'm in Kentucky. So we got snow, but not as much as you guys did. Probably about 5 inches. Actually, most of ours by Sunday was sleet, freezing rain. So it
Okay.
snowed all day, or all night Saturday, and then turned into like freezing rain. And it's like 20 degrees. No, 9 degrees. I'm sorry, right now. So it's really cold here. They already canceled school yesterday or today and tomorrow. So it's just
Oh,
one of
wow.
those things. Yeah, we're not prepared like the Northeast. I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so I'm used to
Okay.
having to go to school when it snows like this. Not here in Kentucky. I mean, they call a state of emergency. Everything's shut down. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's like in the South, basically same thing. When it snows an inch,
Yeah.
it's like the same as they treated it in the equivalent of New York getting 2 feet.
Pretty much, exactly. Yeah. Now, where are you from originally, Gary? Are you from Jersey? Or are you from somewhere else?
No, I'm from New York.
Okay, you're from New York. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
Long Island. Now I'm in the outer Philly burbs, basically.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Uh,
That's where I
are
graduated from
we
college.
like officially on the interview right now?
Yes.
Is this? Oh, okay. It was just straight out there, straight
Yeah,
out the
Yeah,
rip.
Rob
yeah, it
likes to
just
get it
goes.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I
What?
don't believe in proper introductions. We
Okay.
could do that though, yes.
So
Yeah.
me smoking weed was part of the podcast.
Yeah,
W-
yeah. You're
We
good.
didn't see it necessarily. Just, I mean,
You're good.
it could have been anything.
On
But
Emo
now
Kids
that you
Anonymous,
said
we
it,
are pro smoking
I
weed on
mean,
the air. We're super
I
pro.
mean that throat coat vapor pen that I was hitting to soothe my voice.
we all need a
Yeah.
throat coat. Yeah, exactly.
We
For
all need a
me
throat coat,
singing.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. I assumed there was a few moments of pleasantries before we dove in. I wish I knew that.
No,
But I
we
guess
just
that.
prefer
Well,
to,
these
yeah,
were
we just kind of bombard, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty on brand for me anyway. So
You're good. Well, I
and now
guess
you
we
know
should
Rob's
do,
brand.
yeah. Amanda, would you like to do a proper introduction then while we're here?
Yes. Gary Cioni, welcome.
Is it Cioni? Are we saying it
Is it
right?
Cioni?
yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Cioni.
Beautiful.
I was second
Beautiful.
guessing myself earlier.
Yes. We are so happy to have you on. We've had so many bands that have worked with you as you're the producer. Tiny Voices, EMWAY, Scarlet Street. So honestly, it is just really amazing that we have you here today because we have so many questions about just your experience as a producer and honestly, what led you there. But before you were a producer, you were actually in a band, and you are in a band now. NEKS, is that how you pronounce it? NEKS?
Yeah, you pronounced it right. Yeah.
Okay, NEKS, yeah. But you were in Crime and Stereo too previously.
Still are, yeah.
Still am.
Still
Yep.
are, yeah.
20
So
years strong now.
beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your experience starting out as a musician, and then talk about what led you to want to really dive into production.
Yeah, what
from
was
there.
Long Island like in the 2000s?
What was Long Island like in the 2000s?
Well, to answer that sidebar question, Long Island was pretty lit in the early 2000s.
I believe that.
It was pretty lit. Great scene to come from, and so many talented people, and so many cool bands came out of that era of Long Island music. But what was the other question again?
So you started out as a musician, right? And eventually you decided to progress to production. So tell us a little bit about your time when you were just a musician, and then what led you to want to start producing, open up your own production studio, and kind of move into that realm.
Okay. Well, as you stated, I spent most of my 20s, playing in touring bands and, recording from the artist side of the fence, over the course of a couple different bands. Joined Crime and Stereo in 2006, and that was really the first time I started, doing stuff where I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. I mean, it was a week after I tried out for Crime and Stereo, because the band formed in 2002. I joined 4 years later. But I tried out, and then a week later we were opening for Glassjaw at the House of Blues in Chicago, and it was, it was probably about 10 times over the biggest show I had ever played in my life at that point, and just got to do a lot of crazy touring, a lot of like, dream come true type of tours back then. We got to do some really cool stuff. Did that until about 2009 or 10, and then Crime and Stereo broke up. The breakup didn't last long, but then I had started another band called Day Trader, and then I was hitting that hard for a couple of years. We put out an EP on Run for Cover, and then we signed to Rise for our full length. Go through the whole spiel of writing a record, and my recording journey kind of started during that phase where
Gotcha.
we were about to go into the studio for a month with Mike Sapone to do our record, and we're like, well, we need to make demos, so we band funded a shitty 8-channel USB interface and got your basic starter pack mic kit, and I volunteered to like figure out how to record demos, and over the course of about 20 demos, they went from really, really, really shitty to just shitty in quality. But it kind of got me pretty hooked on the whole concept and process of recording music, and also immediately gave me a lot of respect for anyone that could make a high quality record, because it's not easy. Then we made the record. I probably annoyed the shit out of our producer over the course of that month.
Sure.
Just asking, oh, how'd you do that? Oh, what was that? What was that thing? But then we put out the record, and the band like just about immediately self-imploded. We broke up 3 months after the record came out, and canceled a ton of crazy tours that we were supposed to go on, and I found myself at a bit of a, what the fuck do I do with my life now? Because this was my life plan for the next decade.
Yeah, tough spot.
And I started another band after that. That band also signed to Rise Records, played like 10 shows, and then broke up. But
Rise Records was just handing out them fucking deals in the 2010s.
I know, right?
Yeah, that band wasn't so much a self-implode situation as just kind of fizzled out. We all lived in different places, and we're at a point in our life. We're at different points in our lives where we weren't really looking to tour, and the label really wanted us to tour, and we were like, we were never planning on doing that. We just wanted to make a band for fun. But the difficulty of just like playing a show and getting together to play a show meant like several people had to take days off of work, because we lived between Albany and Long Island, and it just kind of like fizzled out. It was never supposed to be a serious thing. And I told that to Rise when they signed us, but I was still under contract with them from Day Trader, and they decided to exercise that right and put out the record. And neither here nor there. But then Crime and Stereo got back together, but it was not a full-time thing. It was just kind of like we play 2 shows a year, and we did that for a couple of years. But I found myself at like as I said, that what the fuck do I do with my life type of situation. And got a phone call one day. I was just working at my in-between tours job, while I was figuring, all right, maybe I'll start another band, maybe I'll do something. But I got a phone call from a buddy, and he's basically like, you have a job interview next week. And I was like, no, I'm good. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And he was like, starts at $30 an hour. And I was like, okay, what time's the interview?
Sick.
And then I ended up working for that company, and it was like a union job in New York City doing like elevator maintenance stuff, and good gig. But a couple of years in, I was like, shit, I got to do this for 22 more years before I can get a pension. I don't know if I can stick this out.
Elevator business has its ups and downs, huh?
That's one of the good jokes, one of the bumper stickers.
That's one of the few you got,
Yeah. The other one is elevator men always get it up.
That's good too. That's great.
I hope
elevator
they do.
men, yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah.
Those are the bumper stickers you'd see on company van.
Oh, I love this.
but Crime and Stereo was over in the UK doing Slam Dunk, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
we were kind of just dicking around one morning, and I was having a conversation with our drummer Brett, who is also a producer, and I was just kind of, man, you've got my dream job. I thought like that's like what I would love to do if I could do anything. He's like, well, you could do that. I'm like, well, it's not that easy, and
Yeah.
he's like, but you could do it, and I could teach you. And I was like, huh. And couple months later, I went up to the studio he was working at just to hang out for a couple sessions, and I was like, man, I need to make some life changes.
Yep.
And I quit my job. My wife quit her job and took a job offer in Philly, so we moved to Philadelphia, and I started apprenticing full time for like a
Nice.
year, and just learned everything I could, and then I started doing my own projects, and about 4 or 5 years later, I decided I was, taking it from a thing I was trying to make happen to a thing I was very much doing and booked up. So I decided to build my own studio. And, in January 2020, I finished building Sound Acres. So my wife and I moved out of Philly, found this place in the sticks in New Jersey where we got, big old plot of land. I've got my house and my studio right next door to each other, but they're separate buildings. Studio's got its own little apartment for bands to live in while they're here.
Nice.
And now I just make records, living the dream, I guess.
I've heard about the
that.
construction of those. I believe it's bunk beds inside of that.
bunk beds.
The recording
Yeah, I've heard
carousel.
about 'em.
Yeah, Tiny Voices put those together for me.
That's awesome.
When we were doing, I think Make Up Your Place. But
Yeah.
one of my couches shit out, and I ordered some bunk beds, and I didn't want to put them together, so I bribed them to do it.
Yeah.
As someone who's put bunk beds together, that is a challenge. So I applaud you for getting someone else to do it. It's not easy.
I think everyone was happy with our arrangement.
Yeah, I think the arrangement went over well. Tiny Voices enjoyed it. Yeah.
And those beds are still standing, so they.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're put together pretty well. They
Quality
did decent
craftsmanship.
Wasn't sure they had that in them. That's good to know.
Yeah.
No, those dudes get down.
They really do.
They have a good time. They're a lot of fun to work with too. Just that straight up Midwest kindness that you hear so much about.
It's real, huh?
It does
There's
exist.
such the way that bands treat each other is so different from region to region. It's crazy sometimes.
Interesting.
Really?
All right, so they're Midwesternites. Then I guess, yeah. Who else would we bring in?
Everyone's so nice to each other and encouraging, and then you get a band from Long Island, and everyone's just fucking mean to each other.
That sounds.
Or there's a lot more rizzing and razzing, and
okay.
And as a native New Yorker, I'm kind of used to that. I would say I got hazed pretty hard the first couple of years I was in Crime and Stereo, just because I was the new guy,
Yeah.
And yeah, but people in other parts of the country don't treat each other that way, and it's something I've figured out over the years.
The Midwestern thing is real.
Yeah, they're always just so nice. And then you're lucky with a band from the East Coast if everyone in the band even likes each other.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think who you worked with that we know on the
I'm not gonna name
Good
names.
Sleepy, Good Sleepy. They seem like sweet kids.
They are. The first time they came out here, they were in high school.
They were in high school still, right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they came out here, and I was just like, wait, your parents just let you come here? Because I didn't realize how young they were. It was kind of just like the record got booked, and I had never even really spoken to the band at that point until they got here. And I was just like, man, if I were 17 and just told my parents that I was going, a couple hundred miles away for 3 weeks and having to take off high school, my dad would have been like, the hell you are, and it would have led to a lot of back and forth and begging, and eventually I would have gotten to go, but it would have. I know he would have been like, I want to talk to this guy first. Who is this Gary that you're just going to be staying at his house, you know? I would have gotten the third degree pretty hard, and it would have been a whole thing. And they were just like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? We're taking off high school for this.
Right? Yeah, they're like, it told when he came on, they were he told me like they're doing Zoom classes and stuff like that still, and I'm like, you guys are like off making a real record, and you're like, you got to be the coolest fucking kids in the Zoom school.
Yeah.
They bought a bong for the record, and when we finished, they were like, all of them lived with their parents, and like we're simultaneously going back to their school dorms, and they're like, oh, I guess we can't take the bong with us, and so for like the next 3 years, every band smoked out of their bong until one band broke it, you know.
Are we gonna say who fucking broke it?
Yeah, right.
It was Stu from EMWAY, right?
Broke the bong.
Who was it?
It was Casper Feinstein.
Oh yeah,
Casper
it was Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, and they waited until I was driving them to the airport at the end of the record to be like, Gary, we have to tell you something. Don't be mad. And I was just like, oh fuck, what is it? And when they told me they broke the bong, I was like, oh, what? Like when the way they phrased it, I was bracing myself for something like much more significant than like,
right?
You broke a bong.
We kind of fucking we fucking spilled codeine on your fucking board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, okay, we're good. You know, we're good here. But so the Good Sleepy Bong is dead. And then another band replaced it though. So now there's still a resident bong for people.
Shout out Leisure Hour. I'm gonna guess it was Leisure Hour that replaced it.
Was it?
They didn't, but they would have if it hadn't been done yet. I bet.
Okay.
They're actually getting here. They're driving here tomorrow.
Oh,
that's so funny because I was because the record comes out Friday. I was trying to wrangle them up this week too. And when we were talking, you're like, I have Leisure Hour. I almost hit up Reagan just to be like, we're just gonna do it at the same time as Gary. Just do it when you're with him. Like we'll just cram you all in one. Like
that would have been fun,
right? I was like, we could do like VH1 classic album style, like break down fucking Jenny for us, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in theory that would have been great, but there also would have been a strong possibility of it just having to get it's so hard to commit to doing anything outside of recording when a band shows up to make a record and you have especially someone like them where they're coming from far enough away that it's not like if we're not on track to finish that we can just pop back for a day and knock it out. It's just sometimes
gnarly commitment.
Sometimes depending on how long we spend doing certain parts of the production process, you know, I might not sleep much in the next week. Who knows? So it's always good. I always try to plan for something like this if I don't have anyone in the studio. So there's really no pressure on. Like I don't have a band sitting right there glaring at me being like, you need to work, motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing right now? Why are you talking about yourself?
Is this a top secret Leisure Hour product release or something like that? I mean, the record is coming out Friday. What are they working on 2 days before it?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to say that.
Very cool. Fantastic.
That is very cool.
They grind.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the record is it's coming out Friday, but for the most part, it's out already. You know,
that's a tough part too. It's a lot of it. It's 7, 8, 9 of those songs already out.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as, you know, they waterfalled a ton of singles and are compiling it into something that now you can get on vinyl and is in like a coherent collection, but they definitely don't. I don't think it's gonna feel as much of a fresh release as when, you know, you drop 2 singles and then the record comes out and there's 7 or 8 brand new songs no one's heard. So I think that's kind of their mindset is, the record's coming out, but for the most part, it's already been out, and
that's a good way to look at it,
so they're looking ahead to what's next, I guess.
Yeah. How do you feel about that approach? I mean, you've been in the music scene, you know, since the early 2000s, and that's we've talked about this before with other bands because that is a common approach a lot of bands make with Spotify, with streaming. They'll just release single after single and then eventually collate into one big LP. Like, how do you feel about that approach versus what we used to do? Whereas, like, the first, title single, that would be the one that would, get everyone interested for the album, maybe one more, and then the album hits.
It's just different, and you gotta, I
Yeah.
guess, adjust to the times. I get why it works that way now because, when you put out a record on Spotify, if you don't have singles, you can only pitch one song for editorials and stuff. And so
Yeah.
if you have a 10-song album, you want to be able to maybe pitch more than one thing for playlisting and stuff. So you'll put out, maybe however many singles and pitch those for whatever. And then when the rest of the album comes out, then you're only able to pitch one of those songs out of the remaining however many. So it makes sense. For me, I just try to make sure that if I'm making an album with a band, that I'm still approaching it from a creative standpoint in that kind of, I guess, ye olden days mentality of, the record needs to have a good dynamic balance of different kinds of songs, and it needs to flow, from a track listing perspective. And then, I'll always tell bands when they're considering their track listing, like, think about the vinyl experience of this record, because at a certain point it ends and you have to flip it over and it starts again. So it's almost like you have to sequence two different EPs, your A side and your B side, but like, in a way you have to like kind of, you have two opening tracks and two closing tracks, even though it's not legitimately that. But you have to think of that, like, that experience of like, okay, the first half ended and now I turn it over and I started again, and where are we now? So I just try to think about, making the record like that is still how people listen to music, and then they do whatever they want with it afterwards.
That makes sense.
If they want to put the whole record out in singles, they can. If they,
And if they want to,
but at least I know that we've curated, the best listening experience we can for anyone who might want to sit down and, enjoy it, and hopefully they can listen to it the way the artist intended.
Yeah. And I like that. And speaking of that creative process, obviously you've worked with many different artists, many different types of artists. So beyond just that broad approach you're taking with the artists when they first come in there making the record, what are some, how do you approach making and creating a unique sound for each one of these different artists? Like, what does that process look like when you get a new band in there and you're sitting down for the first time? How are you embracing creating that unique sound for them versus another band?
I mean, honestly, it's pretty easy if you approach it from the standpoint of how do I tap into what this band, if you try to stay true to the artist and not impose your own will and your own, I have my own bands to write my own music and songs, and I can do whatever the fuck I want in those bands. But when other bands come in, all I can do is put myself in the listener's shoes and be like, as the listener of this song that you wrote, is there any moment in which I go, what was that? And it kind of breaks my vibe or trance, because there's, what was that? And, what was that? And if it's ever the latter of those, and I say, okay, I'm really vibing up until this moment, but then you guys do this and it totally fucking threw me off. And then you go off into this other thing, and now I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm going to skip to the next song. If there's any point in the song in which I'd be like, all right, I'm going to skip this, I'll be like, hey, this is working, but I think what you meant to do here isn't really translating, and I'm worried that people might get bored, and here are a couple different ways in which you might be able to mitigate that, and I'm going to toss that back to you. And, you're not paying me to blow smoke up your ass or tell you everything you're doing is great. If I hear something, I'm going to let you know. And then, but at the end of the day, it's your song, and you get to make the final decision on what we're going to do. But like, you're not paying me to lie to you, but and at the same time, I'm just some fucking guy, and my opinion is not right or wrong. It's just it's just comes from a good amount of experience.
Yeah.
And so, I'm very arrangement first. I want to make sure that the songs are firing on all cylinders, and at the same time, the band is being true to themselves and really executing the vision that they had in mind when they set out to make it.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. Have you? Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I would say, well, in terms of that, have you experienced any creative differences during that process where maybe there was some pushback from the bands, and how do you handle that when it occurs? I mean, I know you say at the end of the day, it's their album, they can, do what they want, but at the same time, how do you kind of approach when they're pushing back on an idea that you're pretty strongly, this is
it's gonna work. Maybe
this is gonna work. How do you handle that?
Well, I've been in a lot of different scenarios at this point, and one thing I will say, if I feel really strongly about something versus I could live either way, is be like, I'm willing to die on this hill. I feel this way. And if I say I'm willing to die on that hill, I only pull that out rarely because I want it to be, I want it to have weight and be meaningful.
Yes. Makes sense.
But every band is different in their, maybe resistance to outside influence or, new ideas. Some bands are like, will blindly do anything I say to a fault. Where I'm like, well, I have to be like, hey, it's okay to, to disagree with me. Other bands sometimes are so stubborn that it takes me a couple songs to win their trust to the point where they're more open to, new ideas and input, and when they realize that we're all on the same team and I just want what's best for them. But sometimes it takes a little bit to win a band's trust and, really let you in. And then there have been people where I'm thinking to myself, why the hell did you come halfway across the country or wherever you came from you drove past probably 30 other studios on the way here. If you just wanted somebody to do whatever you said and just hit record, you could have done this a lot closer to
home for a lot cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah. But most of the time it's a really, great collaborative experience, especially when you're working with a band, for maybe not the first time, where it just, day one, you're just hanging with old friends and everyone already knows the drill and you're just straight to business. But most of the time, bands come in pretty open-minded, looking for guidance, and very rarely has there been all right, I'm just going to shut up and start being a yes man, I guess, because you don't want to hear anything I have to say. But I try to make that not happen very often, in the sense where I always talk to a band before. If a band's not from close to here, I always try to have an honest conversation with them first and be like, what are you looking to get out of this? What are you looking for in a producer? And if the answer is, we don't want a producer, we just want an audio engineer, and I'll be like, maybe you don't want to come all the way out here for that.
Exactly.
Maybe you just want me to mix it, but you could track it in this studio in your local market where you can, not have to maybe put your life on hold for a couple weeks to go make something. But if you want to dive into the rabbit hole and make something, it's like leaving your life behind for a few weeks to just shut everything out and create something is, I think, one of the main perks about this place. Is it's kind of like it's close enough to stuff that you're not isolated from society, and you can get food, and you could go to Philly for a show if you have a day off and whatever. But it's also, when you're in here, you're kind of living and breathing the record. The apartment that bands stay in opens up into the live room. So a lot of times, we'll finish for the day, but if we were working on, something, arrangement or structure, or we were writing something, I can give them homework and be like, hey, I want you guys to go in there tonight and work out this thing and try to come up with something to show me in the morning for this thing that we were stuck on today, and see if you can, so it can be a really immersive, all type of experience. I mean, there have been countless times where we were working on a record, and then we go through all the pre-pro, and then a week later, we're taking an off day on the weekend, and then I come back in the next morning, and they're like, hey, we wrote this new song yesterday, and we think we should get rid of that other song we were going to do that maybe we weren't as stoked about. And that's happened so many times where, just new songs get written in the studio and end up working their way into a record, even when they weren't part of the original, cachet of material. So I think I encourage bands that even live close to, like, hey, you should even if you have to go home sometimes, like, you should stay here, you go home and you go back to your whatever, your Xbox, your significant other, your friends want you to meet at the bar. You're kind of like putting the creative thing on stop. You're like stop and pause where I think if you're just in here living and breathing the art, you're going to know at the end of the day that you did everything you could to do the best thing you could do in the time you had to do it.
I want to ask you about a few specific songs or records, and just see on your behind the scenes thoughts on the making of or the coming together.
Sure.
First, I would like to know one of my favorite records of 2025 here, Scarlet Street. Yeah, No Alternative. A great record. Has a very distinct Long Island sound. When I was interviewing Luke and Ben, I'm like, you guys sound a lot like another band from Long Island that, Mike Sapone has also worked with.
They definitely, I would say that is more them than me. They want, that's the vibe they were going for that. I wouldn't say that I tried to push the Long Island onto them. They came in ready to be Long Island.
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
And it was, we had already made a record together prior to that one. And to my personal taste, I liked the first record, but this new record, their new record, is way more like what I like listening to than like the pop punk stuff. And I love it. They really pushed themselves, on that one. And it's a lot darker. I think the songwriting is a lot more clever, and I didn't have to be heavy-handed on it's a lot deeper of a dive, I think, as a record. But on the first record, I had to be a lot more heavy-handed on the arrangements and productions, and there was still a good amount of that on the second record, but they definitely had picked up a few things and done a lot of preemptive strikes on what's Gary going to say about this song when he hears it, and try to they learned how my mind works, and so they were able to apply a lot of that stuff on the stuff they were working on before they came in. But
they were ready for you.
They also they also had a band member involved in this new record that wasn't in the band for the last one, Luke, their guitar player. And
Luke is sick.
He's got a really interesting creative mind, and definitely brings something sonically unique to the band that wasn't there before, that I think really helped them execute the sound that they went for on that record. And it was just a really good collaborative experience. They are very, very, very open to anything that I suggest or say, and we, some songs I'll be like, this is great as is, let's fucking rip it. And then other times I'll be like, I like the idea of it, but it's not quite firing on all cylinders. And sometimes we'll end up rewriting 50% of a song or more. Or I'll be like, hey, I really love this one part, but the rest of this, what the fuck were you doing? Let's take that one part and write something, and they're always really open to just exploring, the possibilities of, something, and then really finding the best way to do it. And Yeah, they love Brand New. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious with that record.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Ben really likes. I was like, this is like a little more like an ethical Brand New. I was like, this is kind of like, a little more like late stage capitalist Brand New.
But I know that was kind of what he wanted, and a lot of their influence was, and myself having made a lot of records with Mike Sapone in my younger years, I kind of I I know his tricks, where at least that some of them that I've seen him use, and that's part of, definitely, some of my production style was definitely taken from, the times I had worked with him, and just watching. I mean, he's brilliant, and I remember when we made that Day Trader album with him, like, some songs came out so much better than they were when we brought them in because of one suggestion that he might have made or done something. And that's when I, really did realize how important who you work with is when you make a record, because I've worked with other people who just try to impart their own thing on you, and all the stuff they do ends up kind of sounding pretty similar. And, Sapone definitely has a sound. But I think his is more just like creative driven than like formula driven,
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, can't help a guy for picking up a few tricks along the way.
No, we
No,
get
yeah.
that.
Can't blame a
Okay.
guy.
I
That
would
makes
like to
sense.
know your thoughts on the band and your experience working on, I believe you did Double Bind with Excuse Me, Who Are You?
So I never actually, I only mixed and mastered that record. So I didn't
so you
actually
didn't get to hang out with them.
No, they crashed here once on a tour, but I've never actually gotten to work with them in the flesh. And I really wish I really hope I do someday, because they are so talented, and if I could get my hands on them, I know we could make something absolutely fucking bonkers.
Yeah,
But
I think so too.
yeah, they recorded that all DIY and just sent me the pieces, and I put it together for them.
Sick. Yeah, you did a great job there. Yeah, I was gonna say they're fascinating. I'm always intrigued by them.
Yeah.
EMWAY in general is one of the weirder, more interesting enigmatic bands to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because everything they do is so cool, but it's also like, who would have thought of that? Some of the arrangements, rhythm, like, my brain doesn't work that way. I could never write an EMWAY song,
Right? Yeah, I remember watching Stu play sometimes and just being like, the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm so discouraged.
I mean, they got this like crew up in that area, like Louis from Tiny Voices, and
Louis the shit. We're gonna have Louis on. Amanda wasn't here when Louis was here. Louis should, if we ever had like a third co-host or something, like, it would, if you ever need to replace me, you would replace me with Louis.
Oh no.
Louis is my fill-in if I get shot. Yeah.
But just some insane musicians up there. I've made a couple of records with Louis now, because we did all the Tiny Voices stuff and the Stars Hollow record that's about to come out.
Yeah, if Stars Hollow.
We made that record in 2024, and it's still, nothing has seen the light of day. It's killing me.
It's supposed to be this year, right? It's
yeah, the first single comes out in February.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they'll be on here shortly.
It's long overdue. But that year, I've probably spent more time with Louis than almost anyone else, because I had done a month with Tiny Voices making their LP, and then like 3 weeks with Stars Hollow. So I spent like 2 months in 2024 with Louis.
That is wild.
It's a lot of time.
I feel bad. Yeah, he's got a funny sense of humor. We send each other a lot of weird shit on the internet.
Yeah, no, Louis great. I was like, if we spend too much time together, we'd end up getting arrested. Like, we get into trouble here.
Yeah. Louis is a good time.
What about I think if I were to make an official listing of my favorite songs of 2025, the latest edition, but a definite like top 3 was Jobs by Leisure Hour. And they had like you had a string of fucking singles last year. I mean, I know, is Jenny technically 2025? Happy Birthday.
I think Jenny, all of them. Yeah, all of them. Happy Birthday is great because you can hear my dog barking at the end of it. Bernie.
Oh, that's your dog.
Yeah. They wanted Bernie on the track, so we had to make it happen.
Guest feature right there.
Jobs is my favorite Leisure Hour song to date. Yes, I love that song.
You know what it reminds me of? And you'll get it because you're the same age range as me. It reminds me of like a modern, maybe whatever this Midwest emo is, version of Thrash Unreal by Against Me. Like, it's like a great band from our world, but it's like fucking Madonna or something. Like, it's a perfect pop song. They could throw it on radio right now and sorority girls would be vibing out to it and stuff like that. And then they'd show up and get freaked the fuck out.
I'm actually shocked that it didn't immediately become their most popular song when it came out, because I was just like, oh, like, people like Jenny, this is gonna be like, this is gonna make I mean, and the song is doing well, but in my personal opinion, I'm like, that is my favorite. As soon as we made that song, I was like, this is my favorite song you guys have ever written. And that's not for lack of love for the other songs. They have just become, I think I've done something like probably close to 30 songs with them at this point, and just they have become such machines.
I was gonna say, what is they're prolific as fuck here, right? Is Isaiah, Reagan, and like all 3 of them? Is it just Isaiah shitting stuff out? I know Reagan's doing it as well. Like, they just seem to be like.
So for the first album and for the first EP and full length, it was a lot of Isaiah with some Grace songs, and then now for this new record that's coming out, it's I'd say an equal mix of the 3 of them, and they just have. And when they first told me that Reagan was going to start singing songs, I was like, somewhat skeptical at first, and then I've completely 180 on that since. But I was like, oh, do we need 3 lead singers, and how are you going to play drums, these drum parts, and sing at the same time? But if you've seen them live, it's just like, man, they fucking rip. Like,
they pull it off.
They sound so good.
Yeah.
You could put an entire band together based around just one of them songs, and it would be one of my favorite bands. But to have all 3 things under the same roof, is really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So when they did they bring these, like, for example, we're doing 30. How many of these are they bringing it in full fleshed out kind of when they come in, or are they putting them together in the studio?
I would say they come in as fleshed out as they possibly can, and then things may change in the studio. But as the years go on, there's a lot less changing, I guess, in the songs. They've really just become really, really good songwriters. And I know when we did the self-titled EP and Sunnyside, their first full length, all in one go. We recorded all those songs all at the same time, and I think the whole batch between the EP and the album was like 14 songs. And I remember we were close to the end of pre-proing all the songs, and they played one for me. It was Forgiveness, and I was like, yeah, I've got no notes. I think it's perfect. And
right, I have nothing to say here.
Yeah, and they just started jumping up and down and basically celebrating. They're like, oh, we got one past him. And it was, we were probably 10 or 11 songs into the batch at that point. And now it's like, I would say half the songs where I'm like, hey, we need to work on this. But a lot of times it's really just little things now, like, hey, the transition between this part and this part could hit really harder. And if we just did a little pause here for 2 beats and then popped in, but it's a lot less fine strokes than broad strokes,
Okay. Yeah.
They are just truly becoming a monster of a band.
Yeah.
Should be one of the bigger bands in our world, I think. And I think with like you're saying, with the official like album release, I think especially with social or streamers and stuff like that, like things appear differently. EPs show up in a weird place. It's like it's a new album. It's on a bigger label, so yeah, it's getting that little bit of extra push there. Like, it feels fresh. It gives them an excuse to kind of, facelift these songs a little, even if they're already, recorded. They get a second go.
I think to the greater population, it is coming off as more of a fresh album. But I think in their minds, they're just like, all right, what's next?
Exactly,
because a lot of that stuff is it's old to you, because by the time it comes out, it's it's been done for a while before it sees the light of day.
Definitely.
There are records that I've done years ago. I mean, the 2024, the Stars Hollow record, that's still not out. There's a record I did in 2023 that's not out.
Wow.
Eventually.
And it's a good one. It's coming out. I know it's going to come out, but
okay.
But it's a really good one too. So I'm excited for people to hear it. Definitely a good one. Yes.
How would you suggest, like, say if some young motherfuckers listening right now and they want to be like a producer, they want to be an engineer. I remember I went to music school in Hollywood, and I remember thinking, like, the audio engineer kids, I'd always think, like, and I think I was a dumbass at the time. I was partly wrong, but maybe I'm right. Like, going into these school programs, like, sometimes it's a waste because, like, the things you're getting taught by the time you're getting out, like, maybe they're irrelevant. You're not getting that same hands-on. What would your advice be? Should these people be forking money over to a school? Do they need to kind of do it the way you did it, where, you find someone to let you apprentice a little?
Well, is the goal to be a producer or an audio engineer, or
I think
both,
everyone's. I think they're going to go into it with a engineer mindset in our world, right?
Sure. I mean, if I'm talking to a young person and they're like, I really want to do what you're doing, my first advice would, I don't think college is necessary for, I didn't go to college to do this. You can learn from someone, and I think, I participate in the internship programs at a couple of the schools around here that do have programs, and you could have two different people who are both in their third year of the same program that are at wildly different levels of their journey as far as skills go. And it's one of those things where, somebody can teach this to you in school, but if you're not putting in the work outside of school, if you're not, doing it for fun every day and making it your life and just being a complete loser and nerd about it, you're not going to succeed. You have to really, you have to make it your life, I think, to get good at doing it. And then on the flip side of that is, all right, if you're a 20-year-old kid or something, or 21, you just graduated this program, how are you going to get any band besides your buddies or your own band to trust you? And it's like, well, the advice that I'll give to a lot of young people is, if you want people to trust you with their art, you need to make good art yourself and have something to point to and be like, even if, I was able to get my first clients as a producer, because not because of the records I had recorded, but because I had gotten to assist on a lot of cool records at that point, but I hadn't, been the one really making it all happen. But bands were able to be like, well, we love the bands that you played in, and you clearly know how to put a song together. And that's kind of what I would say in the first couple of years of my career, the bands I played in were the driving force behind artists being willing to trust me with their music.
Definitely.
Now,
for sure.
10 years in, it's pretty common that I'll be working with a band and then they'll be like, hey, I didn't know you were in a band.
I was going to say, some of these younger bands, they don't, there's got to, Good Sleepy, those motherfuckers weren't even born yet. Do they know? Yeah, there's got to be people coming in, what's Crime in Stereo? What's this?
But we actually did have them play some gigs with us a few years ago, which was cool. But yeah, I mean, now it's more, now bands are working with me because of the other records I've produced, and then they'll be like, oh, I didn't realize you were in that band. my older brother likes that band, or
Are you sure you feel great when you hear that one?
Yeah, God
yeah.
damn it.
I checked it out. It's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, as long as it's not, "Oh, that's my mom's favorite band." That's when
Right,
you have to
yeah.
start thinking about life.
I mean, it's a lot of times, sometimes that does happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 41, and sometimes people come here and they're teenagers, and I'm like, well, I could be this person's parent if I made some different life
Yes.
Right,
decisions
yeah,
a
yeah.
long time
100%.
ago.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
And it's always like a different. There's definitely different vibes in the studio when I'm working with people in their 30s or 40s versus you know teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel more like a teacher in a classroom, and then sometimes I'm just like drinking some beers with buds and
Yeah,
making
just
some
hanging out with the
jams.
boys. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
fucking kicking our
Yeah,
cord a little, helping them out.
Mhm.
yeah. But I love it all. And it's cool to get to experience making music in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Where did the Chris the Hot Mulligan connection come in here as well? Because I there's some like interplay here, some albums where you both are on. He works out of the studio a
Um,
little, it sounds like. Like what's the
so
scoop?
I worked on You'll Be Fine with them at
Yeah.
the studio I used to work at full time before Soundacre is the barber shop. And I still
Oh.
go up there a couple times a year. I'll be up there in like right after leisure hour leaves. I'll be running up there for a bit to work on something. But we had worked on You'll Be Fine, and then I had just closed on the property where I was building Soundacres during making that record actually, and then I built the studio, opened it in January 2020, and then March 2020, COVID happened, and Hot Mulligan got kind of like side railed for a while, along with every other band on the planet.
Mhm.
And Chris just hit me up and was like, "Can you teach me to record?" And I said, "Sure, come on out." And so he came out from Michigan in their the yellow van that they used to have, filled with some guitars and his motorcycle, and
Dang.
he stayed here for a good chunk of 2020. Chris just lived here and
Wow.
assisted on records with me, and just learning how to record. And he was the one who actually initially brought Good Sleepy and Tiny
Yeah.
Voices into the studio, because he said, "Hey, these bands they reached out to me about recording," and he basically said, "Oh, you don't want to record with me, you want to record with Gary, and I'll be there and I'll assist and I'll co-produce." But he basically was like, "Come do it here with Gary, and I'll be there too," kind of thing. And he was a big part of the creative process of a lot of that stuff, but he was still learning the audio end of things, and so wanted to make sure that end of it was done justice. And just he lived here for quite a while,
Wow.
and then eventually he left his motorcycle here, and then we had to freight ship his motorcycle back to him months later.
Gosh,
um,
what?
You're like the
but
emo Max Martin and he's your Shellback or something like that.
Exactly.
but yeah, that was what he did during COVID, was just learned how to he came out here and just lived it for a good chunk of a year, just in the
Yeah.
studio every day, making records and drinking smoothies from Wawa.
It's incredible. So when you had Chris out here, I mean, what is some of the advice and some of the tricks that you kind of laid upon him that you've learned from your apprenticeships, from your previous experience, that maybe other people who want to get into production or audio engineering might benefit from?
Honestly, it would be hard to point to one
One.
specific
Mhm.
thing, but he sat in this room for you know I don't 6 months. Of how many hours does somebody work full time in 6 months? If you do something, if you're watching somebody do something every day for
Yeah.
at uh it's just a culmination of all that. And then it's you can learn so much just by being in the room and
Mhm.
and paying attention and being,
Osmosis,
and
Yeah.
and I mean, that's a lot. I learned a lot of stuff just in the same way where I learned, from the producers that I had worked with before I was a producer. But that's from having spent, I spent a couple of weeks or a month with this person, but then you spend 6 months straight with somebody. And you see how they work with over the course of 10 or 12 or 15 different bands. You can kind of start to, and he's spent time in rooms with a lot of other people that I'm sure, have also greatly influenced his journey in the same way that, I've taken bits of my production style from, a bunch of different people in terms of things that I really liked about working with this person. I want to put into my own, workflow. And then so there are sometimes, things people I worked with where there were things I really didn't like about the experience. And so I could make sure that I made sure that I never did, put somebody else in that situation, but yeah. Sorry, that was a long-winded way of saying.
No, that's fine.
Nothing in particular, but everything at the same time.
Makes sense.
I mean, and Chris is also like a gifted songwriter. He didn't need me to teach him how to like identify problem areas in songs or anything, or point out like, he really has all that on lockdown. It was just more like how do I make things sound good, I think was his main,
how do I point the mics kind of thing.
But again, if you spend enough time in the room with somebody while they are working and you just are watching and asking questions, when you can learn so much so fast. I mean, the drummer of my band, Brett, who who was my mentor and really got me started in my career, said, I can teach you everything you'd learn in school in 4 years of school in 6 months, but there are some things I could never teach you, but you already know how to do those things. And Chris is the thing with Chris is exactly the same situation.
Exactly.
You can get the full 4-year course in 6 months, learning from someone and really going all in on it. But there are certain certain things that you either got it or you don't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. That's
Perfect sense,
interesting. Yeah. Because I've always imagined like anytime I've been around like a studio kind of thing like that, it's a matter of if you get it or you don't in terms of like a technical aspect and things like that. And it's like, okay, you can understand the songwriting part and the crafting that, but then when it comes like there's two elements that you need to combine there when you're talking about like production and being an engineer there. It's like, oh, like, yeah, like the role of producer, that's a different story, but like the actual engineering part, like you're going to have to put in like an insane amount of hours of just kind of figuring it out and figuring out what doesn't fucking work.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it took years for my engineering skills to catch up with my, my brain. But then once those things really lock in with each other, you can make pretty much anything happen. And not to say that producing isn't a skill that can't be learned, but there's just everyone's got a different base level, I guess, for something like that. Where's your starting point? Some people, write great songs the first time they try, and then some people spend years trying to figure it out. But like when you're talking about like talent and stuff, it's like I could never get mad at an 18-year-old for not being technically proficient enough to play something. When I think about what how shitty I was at guitar when I was 18 or anything, and it's like you can't ever get mad at somebody for their technical proficiency if they're trying their best. You can help them grow and help guide them, and if at a certain point you realize that this truly isn't going to work, then you have to have an honest conversation with the group or the artist and be like, hey, I know what you guys want this to sound like, and it's not going to happen, and I think we can all see that, so maybe somebody else will play this, and we will you can just practice a lot, and and it's rare, but it happens, and you can't get mad at somebody for trying their best and just like, needing, they will grow into it if their heart's really in it,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll figure it
but
out.
yeah, like, okay, this might be a little too hard for you to play record clean right now, but like so and so can do it, or I'll just do it just so we can move on to other things, so we can make sure that we're not spending 4 hours getting something done that could take 30 minutes, and then we have more time to work on other things.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I would never get mad at somebody for technical proficiency unless I thought that they were just dicking around and not actually trying. And it's like,
and you could usually tell. Yeah.
It's
probably not happening as much too, because they're also usually paying you money, and like it's their money.
I would hope it's not happening if they're paying money, because why would they do that?
Might be a kink thing.
Yeah, I mean, some people have unrealistic expectations of what studio magic can do, though, and it's like the computer doesn't program the song for you. You still have to play it.
Yes, exactly right.
I can clean it. I can clean it up and I can stitch it together, but like, nothing beats just a clean, good performance.
Exactly. Yeah. If we take that away, then that's when AI wins, and we don't really want that to happen. So
no. AI will never win, but it's gonna fuck with us.
Yeah. Yep. Sadly.
But I don't think people want it.
That's the good thing. Yeah.
The people that want it are the same people that were never going to buy a ticket to a gig anyway.
Yeah, the people that are going to listen to that are not going to weren't going to be at these shows in the first place.
They were
it's not going to sway members of these communities. It might fuck up the top 40 or something like that.
That's about it. Yeah, they just need it to be their cleaning playlist. That's what they.
Real people that care about music want music made by human beings.
Exactly.
And people that don't care about music just want something on in the background while they're doing whatever, and they don't really give a shit what it is.
Yeah, they're driving their car.
And so, you know what, that to a degree, AI music will definitely hurt artists and producers and studios, but it will never truly replace anything.
I agree.
And I think there's going to be a lot more pushback against it as time goes on.
Yeah.
I think so as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been prevalent enough for there to be a real pushback besides just pockets of internet and this and that. Yeah. As it goes on, you'll actually start seeing it.
But I'm not prepared to play the rest of my life. Spend the rest of my life playing. Was that real or AI?
No.
Neither am
when
I.
It comes to videos and music, and it's crazy. You could watch a whole fake news broadcast now, and it will look so convincingly real.
Yes, it's kind of scary. Though my 10-year-old has a pretty good eye for what's AI, which maybe that's because she's been brought up on seeing more AI than I have.
But she can sniff it out. Yeah, it's new to us still. We're turning into our fucking parents here. Like,
I'm like 10 years away from falling for phishing scams,
No, Gary, don't do it.
Yeah, you're about to get fucking got by some Yahoo boys in your email. Yeah.
Yeah,
don't
but
help that
when
person in Nigeria.
But what about when AI starts becoming like part of phishing scams, and you get something that looks like, this looks like this email I got from Amazon, and I click the thing and it looks like or it's AI is going to be used for evil, in a lot of creative ways, and I'm scared I'm going to be falling for it somehow someday, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because my full-time actual job is in cybersecurity, and like our company, we build services around helping exactly like businesses counteract things like that, because we built up, and we built up all these services around fighting AI in threats, in cyber threats, because it is happening. Yeah, it's happening a lot. So it's interesting that you bring that up, because our company is doing a lot of stuff with that. So not me.
Well,
I just train our salespeople, but
like,
people way smarter than I do. People way smarter than me are doing that.
Well, you're part of the fight, I guess.
That's pretty much, yeah. Exactly. Every
God
day.
bless you. Yeah, you're on the front lines against AI.
Yep.
What do you do by day, Rob?
I do like marketing stuff for individual companies. So like I help like create like social media campaigns for them, which is basically just like kind of copy paste. Here's a template for this and that. I worked at this place, this Australian digital marketing company, and I just kind of like bit like everything. Like I was like, okay, this is an internship basically. And I was like, okay, this and that. And then I applied it to my own stuff, social media. And then thankfully, yeah, like would like to not do that though, you know, because those come like few,
What would
like
you?
it's like kind of hit or miss, you know?
Okay, but you run your own like
Yeah,
company
that's,
now?
just,
Okay.
yeah, like freelance stuff like that. Plus I do like I did more like marketing and stuff like that. Like I get like I work with like a nicotine company and things like that where I get like payouts from them. You know, I work for like Medium Tobacco, and then, you know, of course our friends
Okay.
at Brodige now as well, you know.
Yes,
So
we do.
just
Yes.
yeah,
Nice.
internet stuff, you know. Well, I mean, yeah, you know, just
I'm
trying to get
I'm
rid of
terrible at
normal type
internet
of
stuff.
I'm trying to get
He's
rid of
quite
normal
skilled.
boring internet stuff and just trying to move into like I would just like to be, you know, more in our world.
Yeah.
The more
That's
money
fair.
the more money I can
Well,
make in our world, the less, you know, I can get out of boring
been
stuff.
been seeing you guys everywhere lately. It looks like the pod's taken off.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
thank you.
pretty
Yeah.
good at we're pretty good at being obnoxious.
Rob,
But
Rob for sure.
I appreciate you guys having me on as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
been
of
No, it
course.
was it's funny. Like I've you and Billy and Nick are the three I'd say that come up the most, you know, like
Yes,
production wise.
100%.
It's like if they're not
okay.
working
Wow.
with, you know, Billy Menino, Gary, or Nick Starantino, right?
Yeah.
Starantino, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
like those are, I swear 70%
Yeah.
of these records of bands that have come on our show are, you know, through you three. So we had to hear directly from the horse's mouth how it works.
Yeah, we love that.
They're both making they're both doing great work too.
Yeah. Well, Billy and they'll be on here eventually soon. I'm sure Billy. He's elusive and busy as well too. You'll have to bug Leisure Hour for us. We've like missed each other like 9 times, but we're getting it down. I do have one question though before you go. As a Long Islandite, what is the Mount Rushmore of Long Island 2000s like emo hardcore?
Like what band or
Bands.
place?
Bands.
Bands.
The Place thing just happened again recently too, wasn't it, Amanda? I never thought of it that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No bands. Yeah, the 4 bands.
So I graduated high school in 2002, and that was the year where Brand New and Taking Back Sunday both released their first albums. And if we're talking about, you know, big emo, I would say the combination of those bands putting out their records in the same year, and then like the ensuing rivalry that took place right afterwards. I feel like everyone kind of picked, like everyone loved both, but everyone.
What was your side? What side did you pick at the time?
I think if we're going from a moral standpoint, Taking Back Sunday was definitely probably in the right with all that. But I was always a bigger fan of Brand New's music. So if we can separate the human,
that's a tough. Yeah, same kind of thing. Where it's like, well, I'm on Brand New's team, but I feel like Taking Back Sunday kind of got the last laugh here on a moral level.
But yeah, I mean those from like the emo scene, they were definitely I think the ones that really carried the flag for the island. I mean, I came up more in the hardcore scene than I think the emo scene, even though there's a lot of crossover and
of course.
But I mean, like Silent Majority was the holy grail, was the Mount Rushmore for Long Island hardcore bands, and I would say on top of that, Silent Majority was also heavily influential in the formation of all those emo bands like Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, Movie Life.
As I say, even like those emo bands, I feel like at the root of it were like hardcore kids.
All of them were
hardcore
over. Kids, yeah.
All hardcore kids, and all of them love Silent Majority. And Silent Majority is one of the best bands ever, and if you haven't listened to them, you need to. That goes to anyone listening to this as well.
Yeah.
Sick. That's your advice if you're listening to this, kids.
Yeah. Just
But
kids, especially
I
those
would
kids.
say that there would have been there were such a big influence in making younger people want to start bands,
Yeah.
and so many of those younger people that started bands because they were going to see bands like Silent Majority, went on to start bands that really just did so much bigger scale things, and fueled the scene for years and years after, because when you have all these crazy bands coming out of one place, it makes all the younger people want to start bands and to be like that. And then you've got, all just members of the bands doing cool shit, starting other projects with other people. And so, and I think it's still going on, but I'm just a lot more separated from it now because I'm an old guy and I don't even live there anymore. But it's always been a great place for alternative music, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the nature of the way Long Island is. It's in, you're right next to New York City, but you're in this place with all these. It's a lot Trumpier than you would think, and a lot more like redneck.
And you're
seeing, it's like a redneck cosplay,
and you have the fucking the like the world, like the beacon on the hill is New York City. It's literally in your view, and you're stuck in like what is basically fucking like suburbia, almost like weird middle America almost.
It's gonna spark a counterculture, and I think that's has a lot to do with it, is because of how how Long Island it just is in nature. There's a lot to love about it, but there's also a lot to hate about it at the same time.
But that uncomfortability and that like discomfort creates, like, that's where art comes from. I was talking to our dear friend Gabe about like New Jersey was the same thing, like, and it's like you mentioned, like the kids are in bands and you see these people in bands, like that's why the 2000s, like this world was kind of like mainstream culture almost, because like it was cool. And you'd see, if you're growing up in Long Island, you're graduating high school in 2002, all of a sudden Taking Back Sunday and Brand New are like on, I guess Fuse at the time almost, or MTV2s, or they're in these magazines, and it's like, oh shit, I can do that. They're from like 2 towns over. It's not like you're on the internet like, oh, I'm going to try to emulate this. It's like, this is fucking doable.
And back then, you could still see those bands play in a 200 or 300, in a 200 or 300 cap room. That didn't last long, but
you still could, yeah.
I got to see them play a lot of. I mean, I don't think I've even seen Taking Back Sunday in at least 15 years, but I know they're still out there. But
they are. I just saw them.
The videos make they do the festivals,
Yeah. They brought John and Fred back.
But, and then like eventually, like I think it was probably around 2009, Crime and Stereo toured with Brand New, and it was like, oh, here's this band I saw playing in, 100 cap rooms, like, 7 or 8 years ago, and now we're playing 2 nights in a row at the House of Blues.
You guys did the second half of, was it the first or the second half of the Daisy tour?
Second half.
The second, because the first half is Manchester Orchestra, then the second, and Kevin, I think, and then you guys were the second half.
No, so the 1 of 3 slot was split between us and Kevin Devine, and then Manchester the direct support was split 3 ways between Manchester, Glassjaw, and Thrice, and so we ended up getting like the second half of the Thrice leg and then the whole Glassjaw leg. So like Kevin Devine did like the Manchester dates and then some of the Thrice dates, but they had split it that way, where there was 3 different direct support bands and 2 opening bands. So we got to do a little bit of both. I think it was Philly was when the support flipped, because it was 2 nights in a row, and the first night was Thrice and then the second night was Glassjaw.
Interesting. Okay, I would have been at the San Diego House of Blues for that tour. I would have had Kevin in Manchester. Yeah.
There was a lot of House of Blueses on that tour, and my biggest takeaway from that is almost all of them, no matter where you are, it's the same food, the same catering every night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the first day you're so excited, like, oh, look at this spread. You got this grilled chicken and mashed
It's
potatoes
fancy,
and vegetables.
yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks in, you're like, let me guess. Grilled chicken and mashed potatoes and fucking vegetables again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to Chipotle down the block.
Sounds
Wonderful.
so much better.
That's sick.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, Gary, we really appreciate you joining us today. This has been a very enlightening conversation just around production in general. And thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to speak to us.
Absolutely.
And tell us about your process and advice and everything like that, because it's been awesome.
I'm excited to hear what of my favorite records you put out this year, because you had a couple on my 2025. Let's see how many we get on my 2026 list.
I hope there's some stuff you can enjoy as the year goes on.
We're looking forward to it.
There's a lot of good stuff in the queue right now. So I'm sure there'll be some things you enjoy. Hopefully.
Hell yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, man.
Well, it's been great talking to you guys. Thanks for making this so easy. I'm usually really nervous and awkward about this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Of course.
This is what we,
Hey, man, it's your boy Petty Hendrix, man. You tuned in to Emo Kids Anonymous. Check it out. You did.